Week 2 already on its way here for the fantasy basketball season, but here's a few forwards that shouldn't be on your roster, and you should drop them this week. The first guy's Marcus Morris of the Los Angeles Clippers. Morris, he's been ruled out the whole season so far. We don't know when he's going to come back, and this Clipper team, they got a lot of guys already, and Morris, I don't think he'll have that much of a fantasy impact to have him on your club the whole season or contribute in many categories. Morris, he's only owned in 12% of fantasy leagues, but if teams want to go out there and stash him, I don't think it's worth it. Nikolas Batum, it looks like he's going to be ahead of him in the pecking order anyway with all the versatility and different things he could be. So Morris, he'll probably be a guy coming off the bench for this Clipper team and scoring 10 to 12 points a game, but not giving you much any other categories. I think Morris, he's an easy player to get away from at the forward position. The next guy is Brandon Clark of the Memphis Grizzlies. Clark, so far, he struggled in his first few games of the season, and his percentages dropped versus San Antonio the first game. 5 for 9 from the field, 10 points, 3 rebounds, a block, and then his last game versus Atlanta, 2 for 8 from the field, 4 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. Now with Kyle Anderson stepping up, John Morant obviously over there, and Valanciunas, I don't think there's going to be a lot of big minutes and big plays for Clark to do. He's played 20, 25 minutes so far in the first few games. His percentage has already dropped 9%. And even going into fantasy drafts, Clark was a player I was looking to avoid unless I was going to get him in the late rounds. But right now, he's not getting much playing time, and he's not scoring the basketball or doing much of anything. I know it's a 2-game sample, but with red-hot guys on the waiver wire at forward, I think Clark's a player you could get away from. And if he does bounce back, then you just go back and pick him up. The next forward I would drop is Hachimura of the Washington Wizards. He's been injured for the last 2 seasons, it seems like, Hachimura. He has an eye infection. We don't know if he's going to play a major role at all for this Wizard team, and he's still owned in 58% of fantasy leagues. But I think he's only going to be a guy that's giving you 10 and 6 with a 3 or 2 a game, which is decent. But at the forward position, I want more versatility, more of a scorer, and a guy who could give you multiple categories. So Hachimura, I think you could get away from him. I don't think he's going to do much. If you got an injured spot and you could stash him, why not? But I think there's better options out there on the wire, and I would get away from him. The next guy is Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks. Obi Toppin, the impressive high flyer coming out of Daytona, but now he's injured already for this Knicks team. He's going to miss 6 games, and that's a big chunk to miss already early in the season with the calf injury. He was owned in 50% of leagues coming into the week, but already his percentages went down 6. His first game of the year, he struggled, 3 for 12 from the field. He did hit 3 threes, 9 points, 3 rebounds, and assists with 2 blocks. Toppin, I think he's going to be a decent player for this Knicks team, but right now with his injury and him already missing 6 games, and if you only have 1 or 2 injured spots with a lot of guys missing games and stuff, I would drop Toppin. He's another guy I think you could go out there and go get him if he gets hot again once he comes back, but he's out at least till January 7th or 8th or something. So that's a 2-week span pretty much of games. And Toppin, I think, is an easy drop, but keep an eye on him if he does break out when he comes back. And the last guy would drop is Marquise Chris of the Golden State Warriors. Chris, he broke his leg and he's out for the season, so he's going to have no value. Chris, we thought he would have a breakout season this year, but he didn't play many minutes so far, even with Draymond Green out. So Chris, he's droppable. Even in dynasty or keeper leagues, he's definitely droppable. He didn't have a major role, and I think he's a free agent anyway after the season. So hopefully this leg injury don't come back and bite him, where he's not going to get a good contract or even sign anywhere. But he's an easy drop. He was owned in 26% of fantasy leagues, but that number's going down as the days go on. So Marquise Chris is a drop. So that's a few forwards I would drop here heading into week 2 of the fantasy basketball season.